Hey, welcome back today. Glad you could join me. And well, you're probably wondering, why are you wearing this silly thing? It's kind of a funny looking helmet. Well, the reason I'm wearing this one is because, well, it's the only one I got. And today's topic is going to be about helmets. I don't actually own an equestrian helmet, so I can't put one of those on. So we got this one. But I'll get back to you in a sec because we're going to talk about helmets and a little bit about this one too. Not that it's really the topic, but helmets in general and their effectiveness and why people wear them, things like that. Okay, so today we're going to talk about helmets and why people wear them and how well they work. And well, before I get into that, I'm not going to say I'm against helmets. No, absolutely not. And I've said that before. It's one of those subjects, though, that I rarely ever talk about because of the fact that it's a very controversial topic and it always ruffles a lot of feathers. But it also brings out the worst in a lot of people, and next thing you know, there's name calling and all kinds of things as if telling you you're an idiot makes them right. Never understood that one, but well, helmets. And why you wear them. Well, anybody that's watched my channel for any great length of time, or even not even a whole lot actually, because almost every video I mention safety. I talk about safety. So I'm big on safety, and I believe safety is very, very important. But don't think that putting a helmet on your head makes you safe. It does not. And in fact, I suspect strongly that helmets actually probably cause accidents because they give people a false sense of security, and then they end up doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing that ends up getting either them or their horse or both hurt. And that's what I want to talk about because I'm big on safety. You know, a lot of people think, well, putting a helmet on makes me safe. And actually just recently somebody said, I don't know anybody that wears a helmet because it makes them safe. I thought that was a very odd statement because if it didn't make them feel safe, why would they be wearing it? Obviously, it makes them feel safe. Now, again, I'm not against helmets. Proven fact, you know, because this is one of the arguments that always comes up every time you mention helmets is, oh, helmets will reduce the severity of cranial injuries in the event of an impact. That is a fact. I'm not going to argue that one. And, well, this thing right here is one of those things. The reason I have this one is where I live, it's required by law. If you ride a motorcycle, you have to wear one. You know, and in most cases, there's some kind of rules or laws that require people to wear helmets. And, well, before we get into horses, I'm going to talk a little bit about cars because for those of you that have ever watched any kind of racing, you'll notice that the drivers inevitably always have helmets on. Why? Because helmets work. Helmets actually protect your head. Now, in the event of a cranial impact, though, something like this is far, far superior to an equestrian helmet. Equestrian helmets are very minimal. They aren't much better than a skateboarding or bicycling helmet or whatever. There's all kinds of helmets out there, none of which existed when I was a kid. And we've been riding horses for thousands of years without helmets. Come on, you can't tell me you must have a helmet now. What did we do before? They didn't even have helmets. But we still rode horses, didn't we? Yeah. We also rode bicycles, skateboards, raced cars, all kinds of things. Well, okay, we did a lot of dumb things too before we discovered that, you know, maybe this wasn't such a bright idea. But let me talk about safety and how safety is not limited, not even closely limited to your helmet. Now, again, I'm not saying helmets don't work. They can help. If you bang your head on something, on an area, I'm going to emphasize this part, on an area that the helmet actually covers, because equestrian helmets don't cover very much. Compared to this one, this thing probably covers about 50% more than what one of those equestrian helmets covers. This helmet also is notably bigger, thicker, harder. It's made to a much higher standard. It actually has to be inspected and approved. There is a little tag on this thing, right on the back of it here. It says DOT. It's actually approved. It's inspected. It is built to a certain standard. This helmet is actually designed to withstand a cranial impact at highway speeds is basically what it's made for. It's very hard, very thick, and covers a lot more of your head. And there's actually better helmets than this too. The full face ones that go all the way around give more protection, and the ones for racing are specifically designed for extremely high speeds. And keep in mind that guys racing cars close to 200 miles an hour, they're wearing helmets, but they don't limit their safety to helmets. Every aspect of that vehicle is important to them. The tires, the brakes, the steering, the suspension, the roll cage. There's a 4-point harness in there. There's little straps that connect to the helmet to keep you from getting whiplash. There's a collar that they wear. All kinds of things. Their safety is not limited to a helmet. And that's, and if any one of those things is defective or suspect even, the guys won't get in the car. No, they don't rely on their helmet alone. And equestrians should not do that either. And that's the point of the helmet. What I'm talking about is, if you want to wear a helmet, that's fine. I'll never say don't wear a helmet. Never, ever. Helmets will work. They will actually, if you bang your head, they help. There's no question about that. And I'm never going to say don't wear one. But what I am going to say is putting a helmet on doesn't keep you safe. And that's a fact. Because the helmet only covers a very, very tiny part of your body. And, well, I've seen many instances where people have been hurt, broken legs, kicked, all kinds of things. I've seen all kinds of injuries where, well, one, they were wearing a helmet, but the helmet didn't help. Another one, a couple others I know of, were on the ground. And the girl got her leg shattered quite bad, had to have surgery, and she was actively participating in some kind of competition. I don't remember exactly what, but she lost an entire season of competition due to the injury because she failed to be safe. She got in between two horses that were kicking at one another and got herself kicked and injured. But that's just one of many. I could go on for the entire length of this video just talking about various injuries. Myself personally, I've only had a few injuries myself, both on the ground and on a horse, and none of them would have been prevented by a helmet. And this is one of those things that I want to emphasize too, is helmets don't prevent accidents, not a bit. A helmet has not prevented a single accident ever. In fact, if anything, they probably cause accidents because, well, people are more inclined to try things, either ride horses that are ill-prepared or ride in a fashion that is not safe because they have this false sense of security because they're wearing a helmet. And this is something I want to talk about is, you can put a helmet on and still be as dangerous as could be. And I've seen it many times where people were riding horses that were ill-prepared, that they shouldn't have been riding, but they thought it was safe to ride them because they put a helmet on. And the helmet's not the only thing. You can get other protective devices. There's a protective vest similar to a bulletproof vest you can wear, things like that. But again, those things don't prevent accidents. And I'm big on safety. I don't like seeing people get hurt because 9 times out of 10 the horse gets blamed. And something that I find very interesting too is I don't know how many times I've heard the statement, "A helmet saved my life." Well, the fact is, no, the helmet didn't save your life. You endangered your life because you did something that you shouldn't have been doing in the first place, and the helmet was incapable of preventing an accident, and you had an accident anyhow. And in many cases, as I've said, people have actually been hurt while wearing helmets. And in fact, a little statistic, I actually did some research on the subject a while back, and I couldn't find anything actually, except I did find one hospital, ER, had compiled statistics for equestrian accidents. And every single one of the accidents that they had to treat, the injuries, was as a result of somebody on the ground, and they weren't even wearing a helmet anyhow. So, again, it's one of those things. You must be aware of your surroundings. You must be paying attention to the horse at all times, and don't put yourself or the horse into a situation where there is the probability of an accident. Now recently, another story that I was told was about somebody that Oh, they were riding along at a gallop, and there was some construction on the road that there was no markings for. Shame on the people that were doing that. But they come across this ditch in the road before they had time to take a evasive action. And as a result, they come off the horse, landed on their head, got knocked out even while wearing a helmet, but they still claim the helmet saved their life. No, they endangered their life because they were riding too fast. And it's kind of like, going back to the comparison to cars again, I don't know how many times I've heard it where, people would drive too fast for road conditions, which I don't know about where you live, but where I live, that's illegal. It's illegal. The law says you cannot drive too fast for road conditions. And yet people will constantly do it. And I wish they'd enforce that, but I've seen people speeding in poor visibility or bad road conditions, or where there's construction or all kinds of things. And when they have an accident, which is inevitable when you exceed the limitations of the conditions, they blame it on the road. No, it wasn't the road's fault. It was your fault because you were driving too fast for the conditions. And that happens all the time. And this exact same thing happens with horses. And I don't even understand why people do it sometimes either, because it's pretty hard to enjoy nature at a gallop. Moseying along at a leisurely walk, you can enjoy nature. There's also far less chance that horse is going to step in a badger hole or something like that while you're riding. If it's moseying along nice and slow, or if it does, it has time to pull its foot out before it ends up with a broken leg and you go flying. And those are the kinds of things that, just simple things. Don't exceed, what is safe to do. And it happens all the time. People are, trying to race barrels or slalom poles, or just seeing how fast they can go down the ditch where they can't even see what's in there because the grass is too tall. Stuff like that. It's just silliness, that causes safety issues. Like I said, go back to the car, the race cars. The guys have got insane amounts of safety equipment in those cars. And if any one of the aspect of that vehicle is suspect, they won't get in it and drive it because it's a safety issue. The helmet alone is not going to keep them safe. It's not going to prevent an accident. And chances are, if something fails on that vehicle, even while they're wearing a helmet, there's a good chance they could end up dead anyhow. And the same is true of horses, is you put that helmet on and, you think you're safe, and away you go riding too fast or on a horse that is a little unruly and not fit to be ridden in any way, shape, or form. And that happens way too often. And, you get overconfident because you're wearing a helmet, and I've seen the same thing in many industries as well. People that are not wearing safety equipment get hurt far less often because they're more aware of their vulnerability, and they take a lot more caution. And it's like an expression that I have said many times before is, rather than covering up my head, I'm going to use my head. I'm going to think about the potential risks. I'm going to think about the dangers. I'm going to think of the hazard. What can go wrong? I'm going to constantly be paying attention to my surroundings. Whether it's at work or on a horse, I'm paying attention to my surroundings. In the case of a horse, I'm also paying a lot of attention to the horse. These are not things that are optional. And the helmet actually is, because the helmet, again, does not prevent an accident. And it's one of those topics I've avoided many times over the years because it generally ruffles feathers, and then you get all kinds of arguments, and the helmet Nazis come out and telling you should be wearing a helmet. I've had people even hurling insults at me and saying that they hope I get hurt. What kind of a person actually says something like that they wish another person would get hurt? I don't want to see anybody get hurt, whether you're wearing a helmet or not. And that's why I'm doing this video, is I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want you to put a helmet on and think that you can do things that are not safe to do. I don't want to see you getting on a horse that is not safe to be ridden. You see, I'm in the arena. I do a lot of riding in the arena. I never thought I would, but you know what? It's actually a very safe place to ride because of the fact that it's smooth, it's level, the footing's good, there aren't obstacles that you can't see, and if, heaven forbid, you ever come off your horse, it's not a horribly hard landing. The sand in here is somewhat forgiving, and any of the large rocks and stuff like that have been removed, so it's not that bad. You don't have those options in other places, and you must use extra caution. Even in here, I use caution, and even on very good horses, you have to use caution. And just recently, I've had a couple of events where I brought a horse in and I was going to ride it. It happened to be not unlike today, where it's exceptionally windy outside. And well, as many of you know, the wind gets the horse a little nervous and jumpy. And I decided, you know what, I don't think it's a good idea to get on the horse, because he's getting really nervous. He's jumping all over the place. He does not like this wind. And chances are I might get hurt. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want the horse getting hurt. I don't want anything going wrong. I don't want it to be a bad experience for me or the horse. So I did actually eventually ride him very briefly, because I could tell that he was not... I did a lot of things beforehand. I actually took my time to water the arena down with him in here, and then I did a bunch of groundwork with him, and it did help before I got on him. But I could tell when I got on him, he was still a little tense about things, and I thought, you know what, this is just not a good idea. And I've had the same experience in the past, and once many years ago, I made the mistake of ignoring the symptoms, and it wasn't even on a windy day. I don't know what the horse's problem was that particular day, but even long before I put the saddle on, the horse told me, not a good idea. And I ignored it, my bad, and that was a safety issue. The horse ended up bolting. Fortunately, nothing bad happened, but the fact is, you got to be paying attention. Your helmet's not going to keep you safe, so don't think that your helmet is the end-all be-all. Like I said, we rode horses for thousands of years without one, and I still know a lot of people, probably the majority of people that ride out here, do not wear a helmet. There's quite a few that do, and I never say a word to any of them about wearing a helmet, because if you want to wear a helmet, that's your choice. I have nothing against helmets. Like I said, proven fact, helmets do work. And that's why so many people wear them. That's why they're available. That's why they exist. But the helmet is not the end. It is only a very, very, very small part of the whole package, or the whole picture, as when it comes to safety. And like I say, accidents happen in spite of helmets. Helmets don't stop accidents, and in very few cases do they actually even prevent injuries or reduce injuries, because they cover such a tiny, tiny part of your body. And the other 97% of my body that is not covered, I want to keep it safe too. I don't want to end up in a wheelchair. Ask Christopher Reeves about that. He was wearing a helmet when he came off his horse and broke his neck. And ended up as a cripple for the rest of his life. It was the last time he played polo. And, but that is not an uncommon incident. I've seen it. I actually did a critique on a video years ago where a girl got kicked by her horse while wearing a helmet. Actually, there was a double whammy there, because she came off the horse, then got kicked by the horse. And because the helmet doesn't come down very low, she got actually kicked in the forehead right by the eye. And, well, young ladies are very self-conscious with their appearance. Guys seem to wear battle scars a little better. But, she would have been disfigured for the rest of her life because of that incident. And she was wearing a helmet. So, that's one of those things. She did several things I talked about in that video that led up to that incident where she ended up getting hurt. I feel sorry for her that she did, because like I said, I don't want to see anybody getting hurt. And don't think by calling me an idiot that it makes you right. You can call me an idiot all you want, but I know for a fact, because I've worked in high-risk occupations for most of my life, where all kinds of protective equipment is necessary, and in the places where it was enforced a little more strictly, there was actually more injuries than the ones where it was not enforced, because the policy that says you have to wear it is written on a piece of paper, and a piece of paper does not keep you safe. So I think I'm just going to wrap it up there because I don't want, I mean, I could go on about this for hours because I feel so strongly about it. And, you know, because people are being misled by thinking that they're safe when they put a helmet on. And it's just such a horrible mistake that people commonly make. And as a result, they still end up getting hurt. I don't want you getting hurt. I don't want the horse getting hurt. Don't think that your helmet makes you safe. This helmet would be far, far better than an equestrian helmet, but there's even that would be nothing when it comes to the overall picture of safety when it comes to you and your horse. So think about all the other things that are involved in being safe, and don't worry about whether or not you have a helmet at your disposal. If you want to wear it, go ahead, but don't think it keeps you safe. And remember, helmets never prevent accidents. Have a good day.